Today's story is all about love. So back in high school, I always loved giving people advice. There was something about sharing my perspective with others and making them feel like I had offered them something that really helped them out. It just meant a lot to me, and I never really knew back then that that's what I was doing. Every so often, I would frequent this site called Blah Therapy. Essentially, you go on there and you can either sign yourself up as a listener or a venter. A listener is someone who will sit there and listen to someone else's problems and then give them whatever kind of feedback that they can. And then the venter is someone who's going through an issue and will basically tell you, a stranger, what's going on, and then you can give them advice. I always loved going on this site. I wasn't always there to help every single problem. There were some things that I just couldn't help with, but a lot of the time, people didn't really need the advice as much as they needed someone to just listen to them. So I always enjoyed doing that. So I get on Blah Therapy one day and I match with this kid. He tells me that he's in high school and that he's in love with this girl who's across the country and she is also in high school. Apparently they've been talking for a couple years and at first they were friends, but they really got to know each other and they really started developing feelings for each other. He said, well, one day he was talking with her over Skype. They were talking about meeting up one day and he said, well, what about now? I could buy a plane ticket, I could come and meet you and we could find out if we're good together. He said that after he had proposed that to her, she got kind of quiet for the rest of the call, and after they hung up, she wouldn't really reply to him as often, and she wouldn't return his calls on Skype. Things just kind of mellowed out on her end. She was pretty much ghosting him, and on that day that he was on Blah Therapy, he had sent her a message earlier in the day, basically saying, hey, I hope you're doing okay. Is there anything that I did wrong? Are you all right? She told him that she didn't feel the same way that she used to, that she didn't like him anymore, and that she kind of wanted the relationship to be over. And this really upset him, and he came to Blah Therapy to get some advice. See, the thing was, this guy had already bought a plane ticket to go see her. And I don't really know if they had decided that together or if he had done this on his own impulse, but he was now struggling trying to decide if he should continue with his decision and go. After she'd said what she'd said to him, he was kind of rethinking the whole thing. Maybe I'll just cancel the tickets and just give up on this whole thing. Now, I was in high school at the time, so I didn't have the best advice for this, but what I told him was that I think that he should go. I don't know my words verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, dude, go to her. You have the plane ticket, you have the love in your heart, and worst case, she doesn't feel the same way. Worst case, she doesn't let you meet up with her. But now you know. As a matter of fact, you are the kind of guy who will travel across this country to be with the person you care about. Yes, this is about you and her, and this should be a mutual decision, but this is also about you as a character. What kind of person are you? Now, I felt really good about this advice. It felt like it was the best advice I could have given him. And looking back, maybe I wouldn't have given the same advice now. I don't know their situation. I don't know what was going on between them. I don't know if he was going to end up staying in a hotel or if he was going to try to bunk with her. I'm just not sure. And maybe it would have been better to know the whole scenario before I just said, yeah, jump for this, you know? Either way, he was really appreciative of my advice, and he even gave me his email and said that he would let me know what happened. Now, for the next few days, I was really curious about this. I wanted to know how this was going to go. So I'd check my email every day, and for a while there was nothing. This one day, I do get an email from him finally, and I go to open it, and it says something pretty disappointing. He said, after thinking about it, I've decided that I'm not going to go. He said, yeah, I know where she lives, and yeah, I know where she goes to school, but it doesn't feel right anymore. It feels like she wants me to stay out of her life, and at this point, I think that's just the right call. So I'm going to cancel the ticket and I'm just not going to go. I replied to his email and said that I believe that he still should go, but that he knows the situation better than I do and he has to follow his gut. I told him that I wished him well, and from then on, I didn't hear anything about him. I actually had completely forgotten that this whole thing had taken place. It wasn't very long that this whole story left my head, and I didn't think about it. 3 months later, though, I got another email. When I first started reading this email, I didn't know what to make of it because I had completely forgotten this whole situation, like it said, so I didn't even know what it was. But once I started reading it and it all clicked, a burst of excitement filled my body. He said that after thinking about it for a little bit, he didn't cancel the tickets and he actually boarded the plane and went to see her. He didn't know if she was actually going to show up, if she was going to take time to meet him. But when they finally got together, everything was perfect. They both decided together that they really wanted to make this relationship work. And after high school was over, he was going to buy another plane ticket and move out there so that he could be with her. I told him that I was so happy for him and I admired him so much for taking such a risk. It's been years, and I don't even know if I still have his contact information. I don't know if they did get together after high school, but I like to believe that they are now living together in a happily ever after type situation. And I know it doesn't always work out that way. I have a couple friends who've been in an on again, off again relationship with each other for years. One of them's a bartender, and one day I asked her, "Why do you keep going back to this guy?" She told me it's the way that he looks at her. He's always walking up asking for another shot. Bye, guys.